These are my observations.
Yes, Prashanta Kumar-Shil, thank you very much for joining us on the program. We will bring you all the updates we can out of that ongoing situation in South Asia. But for now, for our next story, we move over to Europe, where European Union Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic is set to head to Washington for emergency talks as the transatlantic tariff standoff escalates. Sefcovic will meet US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Wednesday in a last-ditch effort to avoid a trade war. This comes after President Donald Trump threatened to impose a 30% tariff on EU imports from August the 1st, a move Brussels says could severely damage trade between the two of the world's largest markets. In response, the European Commission has drawn up a retaliatory package targeting over $83 billion worth of US goods, including Boeing aircraft, bourbon whiskey, cars, chemicals and agricultural products. Technical teams from the European Union have been in Washington this week to try and pave the way for a deal. But talks were thrown into turmoil after Trump's latest warning. The stakes are high, with markets already unsettled and economists warning that a new round of tariffs could fuel global inflation. Sefcovic is expected to push for a compromise in the coming days to protect trade between the transatlantic allies. We're now joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He is a fellow at the Hudson Institute located in Tokyo, Japan, to discuss this further. Dr. Nagao, thank you very much for joining us. There is wide concern throughout the economic world about these tariffs. The time, the pause has run out with also an extended deadline now to August the 1st. What are the key economic risks here between both the EU and the US if President Trump follows through with this 30% tariff and then the European Union rebuffs with their own measures?
This is very interesting because in case of the EU choose new tactics against the United States. Because in case of the United States, US has already agreed the tariff negotiation with British, Vietnam, and Indonesia. But all of these three countries focusing on how to accept how much benefit the US can get and how to accept the US demand is the key point of these three countries. In case of the EU, negotiation style is completely opposite. They are preparing the retaliation against the US tariff and try to negotiate. So this means that the EU stance try to be equal, but at the same time, there is a possibility that this retaliation will escalate the re-retaliation from the United States, and so that's why there is a risk in this negotiation. Even if such kind of risk, if EU and the United States agree and deal, it will be the first case the retaliation work in the negotiation. So that's why this is interesting. But at the same time, the view from many countries in the world, this is a little bit new, and many countries worry about the risk to escalate this tit-for-tat retaliation style negotiation. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Nagao. What are your thoughts on how effective, if this 30% tariff does come in and hit the European Union, this proposed $83 billion retaliatory package, how likely is that to be in deterring these US tariffs? But what are its potential downsides?
Anyway, the EU and US trade, EU export to the United States more than the US export to the EU. So that's why this trade, EU got more benefit anyway. So under such kind of situation, that is the reason why the US asked EU the high tariff. So in case of the EU, even if the EU try to be the equal manner, which is retaliation against the United States, it is true that this trade EU want to continue because this is beneficial for EU. So that's why even if the EU try to retaliate, still I believe EU try to concede more than the EU concede more than the US concede the EU. But I think this is a negotiation to be cure or fair trade could happen under such a situation, I believe.
Yes, Dr. Satoru Naga. We will now move on to our next story, and we move over to the Indo-Pacific, where Indonesian President Prabowo